been a while since we've walked you through some of the projects here at the shop. Mid-race season right now, so all the trucks are still in the Midwest waiting for Crandon Labor Day, but got a lot of questions on the RS two-stroker. So, two-stroke project we put together a few years ago. We'll dig into that. We got the, you can see behind me, C10's back in the shop, back from wiring, so stay tuned for an update on the RJ66 here very shortly. Ronnie's Pro R, a few other projects going on, working on selling the Pro Light. Actually got a Pro R build here that we're going to, we'll get to that a little bit, kind of. For now, not going to talk too much about that build, but the two smoker, the one that everyone wants to know about. It's actually, so it started as something we worked with Polaris a little while on just to make kind of a cool little concept vehicle about 3 years ago. They sent us, I don't even know what model snowmobile, I don't know enough about snow machines, but it runs an 850 Patriot snowmobile engine. They sent us the whole sled. I think I have a photo of it. A full sled and this RS1 basically to take all the wiring harness, the engine out of the snowmobile, and put it in a RS1, making it a two-stroke. The snowmobile has about 180 horsepower, fuel injected, so that's why they wanted to use that motor. 3 years ago, it was like the first fuel injected snowmobile motor, to my knowledge, like I said, California, so don't quote me on my snowmobile knowledge, but pretty rad. Let's we'll walk you through kind of what we got going on here. As far as the RS1 portion of this car, we didn't get too crazy on it. It's mostly just stock RS1. Like I mentioned earlier, there's two complete different systems. So it's got an RS1 ECU and harness that runs the power steering, the front diff, the radiator fans in the back, and then the snowmobile harness runs all the engines. So literally two completely different ECUs in the car. And you can see that it's got a huge radiator in it. So I don't know all the specifics from snowmobile talk, but they want to run max like 120 degrees. So that's like, we run these at 200 before the fans even come on in a normal RS1. So to only let it get to 120 degrees and keep it even cooler than possible, we had to put a huge radiator in it that's actually basically half of what we run in a Pro 4. So two big fans, big radiator to keep it as cool as possible. To be honest, we don't have a temp sensor on it, so we don't know how cool it runs, but it runs cool enough to not kick it into limp mode, which is the important part. So mostly all stock suspension on the RS1. It's got some Walker Evans Velocity series shocks, Holtz radius rods, Holtz Racing RS1 cage. The rest of it's pretty much stock. It's got a Sparco seat, but the bones of the RS1 is mostly nothing crazy. It's the drivetrain and the snowmobile engine that really sets this thing apart. You might wonder what's this factory setup we have going on right here. We got this thing turned around and running just in time for the side-by-side summer shootout. During one of my runs at the side-by-side shootout, the plastic oil tank said sayonara and didn't want to stay in its mounts anymore, so got some real race stuff going on here with the zip ties. Got that tank back in there because it's oil injected. So it's two-stroke. It needs oil that it self-mixes with the gas. Very, very crucial ingredient to make this thing run. So as you can tell, that's an at-track fix. We'll clean that up here. But this is my favorite feature. It's pull start. They do make an electric start kit, but it wasn't the first priority we had when making this thing run. So it's pretty funny when you walk up to the back of this thing. Pull start it, everyone's like, no way. So pull start, 850 fuel injected snowmobile engine, 180 horsepower. We had these tires and wheels set up on it, BFG radials for the time attack style racing we were doing, but check out this custom exhaust. So Factory Pipe actually built this exhaust. When we originally put this engine in here, we don't know anything about two-strokes, so we didn't build an exhaust for it. Factory Pipe took it, made this crazy custom exhaust. There's not a lot of room in the RS1 because it's such a small car. It's like 7 inches shorter than a normal Rzr, and I don't know, 1.5 feet shorter than a Pro R. It's quite a bit different. I mean, you can see a Pro R, it's way longer. So getting that pipe behind the seat to fit was a little bit of a trick. The guys at Factory Pipe made it a custom exhaust just for it. It sounds crisp. Cannon intake we made with some leftover parts. We just kind of hodgepodge this thing together a little bit, you know, just to see how it ran and see how fun it was. And it's an absolute blast. I'm looking forward to going and driving it more. So the one thing we need to work on is it's not charging the battery right now because it's two separate ECU systems. The stator is not charging the battery, so we got to work on a system to figure that out because it's got such big fans, power steering, front diff, all run off the battery, but the engine isn't charging the system. So we can only run for, I don't know, 4 or 5 minutes of run time before we start to drain that battery low. And we're gonna start having some problems. So before we can take it out and do a bunch of driving, we're gonna have to figure that little bit of a issue out there. So shouldn't be too much. Like I said, it went to Polaris actually, and they got a little bit crazy with the wiring. At first, because it's got 2 systems, this key is only turning on the Rzr ECU. So if you turn your key on, it only holds power for a little bit. They've got some fancy mumbo jumbo stuff going on, so where when the key's on, it stays powering everything the whole time until your battery's dead. So pretty crazy, pretty cool little setup. I'm really looking forward to getting out and driving it. I think we're gonna do some comparisons, the 2-stroke versus the stock RS1. And then it's quite a bit faster. I drove it, like I said, so it's quite a bit faster than the stock NA RS1. Maybe compare it to even like a, I don't know, a Turbo R. Go do some stuff. Obviously it's not gonna have the suspension and handling, but it's a runner. And David Fisher, who does watercross racing, totally hooked me up. We called him like 17 times to be able to, that's maybe not even as many as we called him. We probably called him like 87 times to get all these things dialed, because like I said, we didn't know much about the snowmobile system. We had some fuel issues, a couple different sensors that were giving us fits, but yeah, I'm looking forward to really getting into this thing, getting it in the dirt. We just got to get that battery charging, and we'll go have some fun with it. One thing about the RS1 is you kind of need a buddy, because when you're in there strapped in, you need a second guy, a crew chief, to fire you out back here. Runner, she smokes a little bit. It's a little loud. You gonna throw some revs? Am I smoking you out?
Yeah.
Is that a familiar sight for you, Daniel? Also, we have to shut it off with the fuel pump. Just little minor details that we gotta still tie up, but overall, that's the runner we call the RS2 stroke. Looking forward to getting her out in the dirt and burning some tires off this thing.